named after Beastie Boys songs.
No, I got to keep it going, I
Yeah.
guess.
Um, and since we're going to talk about Sabotage Showdown, I figured it was perfect. And I didn't realize it until I was going to rename it in Twitch, and I realized episode 16 was named Enter Galactic.
So I guess I wonder how long we can keep it up.
Yeah. Now we have to kind of like go through Beastie Boys songs and figure
Until we
out
run out.
how we can figure out content like podcast topics based on Beastie Boys songs.
I mean, I'm for it. For it.
Yeah.
We need something to do with the party.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I got this. Boop. What's this up?
No sleep till Coruscant.
That's not bad.
No sleep till Dagobah. No sleep till. It's definitely not no sleep till Tatooine. Fuck that place. Nobody wants to go to Tatooine.
That's true. Okay, let's see. And then we'll put it in the Omnus.
All
Go
right.
to Shatterpoint.
Posting them links. Do we
Okay.
want to just skip playing the intro until we figure out what the fuck to do to make it actually like play right in Twitch? And
That's true because I forgot about it.
yeah, I haven't really thought about it that much either. But yeah, why don't we just not play it in the Twitch and you can just do the intro and then we'll add it in the audio. The
Yeah, I can do
audio.
it easy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I need to talk to somebody who's better with this Twitch shit and be like, hey, why is this
Why is
audio
this doing
file
this?
getting all fudgy for knickered? Welcome to viewers, whoever you are.
The two. You got
We're gonna
me.
oh you and it's not me. I'm only opening
Somebody
the
else.
Twitch studio.
Somebody else.
Other one person. We're gonna give you a shot. Dizzard and I played a game against each other, and we're going to do a special shout out for anyone who can guess all of the models that we played based on who played them. And we had no crossover characters at all. And the hint is that Dizzard wanted to win and I wanted to play stuff that I hadn't played before.
Can I give a hint too? It won't be like telling.
Okay.
I guess it might be a little telling, but
make it
I'll
it
just
hard.
say
because I'm also offering to buy a beer for who if someone can guess all of it.
Okay. Then I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't say my hint then, because my hint would be way too telling.
Okay, it'll be fun. Because I'm gonna make fun of Accuser during the show since his guesses were so awful.
I want to know what his guesses were. Is this going to be the addressing the council?
No, the addressing the council. We're gonna talk about
That's Chamber of Judgment.
Oh, addressing. Oh yeah. That's Chamber of Judgment. Yeah, we don't actually have a specific addressing the council this week because I don't think we're behind on any.
I don't think so either. But let's go ahead and put this in here. Anything for addressing the council?
We could do Joey's.
This was Joey's. For regular. I thought we did that one.
Did we? I probably.
That's all the way back in September. That's all the way back in September. There's no way we didn't get that one.
Yeah, I would have deleted it. Did we do is Mother's Identity just better version of Ahsoka's?
I feel like we did.
I didn't delete it.
That seems like something it sounds like something
from
me,
me, so we could skip it.
Okay.
Well, we'll see where we're at. I'm sure I will have something when we get to that segment. I always have one or two as we go through the episode.
I got one. What is Vader all that?
No, let's not. There's been so much talk on that already. When we're gonna already kind of talk about Vader a little bit, just because he was involved. and he's
Yeah,
on everyone's minds. I don't think we need a separate segment for that.
that's completely fair.
Ooh, I have a better one when we get to it. All right, I've got
Okay.
one. I'm gonna surprise you with it though, but you'll just agree. It'll be funny.
What if I don't? That'd make it even more funny, wouldn't it?
If I ask you my addressing the council and you say no, I'm gonna be very surprised.
Fair enough. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Did we hit the?
I haven't started recording. We're just streaming. Should we start the recording? We're after 6:30.
Yeah, let's go and get started.
Okay.
We 5 minutes. If people want to be here, they could be here.
Yeah.
They'll show up. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right.
Okay.
Intro.
I need the
music. La, 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 la. Do I bring you in warm or do I bring you in cold? Ice cold. Yeah, ice, baby. Go, Dizzard.
Close the blast doors. Welcome to the Rogue Support Podcast, where we are here for your gaming needs in regards to Star Wars Shatterpoint. We are your hosts, Dizzard and Omnus, and we're here for a good time. And we have some news for everybody. First,
we're renaming
off,
the podcast "Scandalous Scoundrels." Is that not the news? Scandalous Scoundrels.
I wouldn't be opposed. Actually, I kind of like that.
I was just thinking it was a joke as I was walking back from the store. I was like, yeah. Because we call all of our patrons and stuff scoundrels. And,
scoundrels.
You know, I know Rogue was kind of your podcast thing, but Rogue has too much association with the rebels. And we're rebellious.
We're not rebels.
But we're not rebel scum, if you know what I'm saying. This is not a rebel
we're
scum
definitely
podcast.
Not rebel scum. If anything, it's about finding the Rebel Scum podcast. But
and taking them out and punishing them for their crimes against the Empire.
Well,
yeah.
Like the guys over at Zion's Finest, Kenny, he's like, I really enjoyed the episode that you guys did going over the month and a half of Galactic Republic play. But I do find it hilarious that you guys stayed true to your colors, and most of the episode was about Mother Maul.
Well, I mean,
he's like, it's really good. He said it was a really good episode and he enjoyed it, but he wanted to make sure that he enjoyed the fact that we stayed true to our colors too, and gave our honest opinions.
Hey, we tried. But I do have something. Spoiler alert. I have something Galactic Republic related to talk about at some point during this episode.
Okay,
so we'll get there.
And there's also the. Oh, what was it? Oh, I just want to say big shout out to like Kenny and Zion's Finest. If you guys aren't listening to them, go ahead and give them a listen. Really enjoy their show and the stuff they talk about. They're very wholesome and just really good, easy listen. And he always shouts out every single content creator for Shatterpoint. So I just like doing him a solid and giving him a shout out as well.
That's awesome. To be entirely honest, I have not been listening to podcasts either for MCP or for Shatterpoint for at least a few weeks. So I don't know.
Busy.
I go through cycles with it where sometimes I just want to listen to podcasts every single day. And then I'll go through weeks of I'm just not in a podcast mood. And
that's fair.
So, well, Dizzard, what are you drinking? I tried to give you beer earlier and you denied me.
I drive. I was driving and I'm a good person. And
you are a better person.
But I have an Elysian full contact. I will say that's one of the best things about being up here is being able to get all these Elysian brews again, because it's been years since I've had them.
So. I have not seen an Elysian Immortal in a while, and I need to find it because I'm starting to get a craving.
If I see one down here, I'll let you know. I'll grab some for you or something.
I probably can just walk into a Bevmo or something, but that used to be an IPA that I could find everywhere. Like it was one of the most common,
like at a gas station,
microbrews, and now it just seems like Space Dust has kind of taken over that slot where it's really easy to find Space Dust where it used to be harder. But It's all good. It's all good. I just want to
Hmm,
find one. I've just been having the Elysian itch, so to speak. So.
that's good. It's good stuff. It always has been. It's one thing that I'm glad to be back here. But I got one of those, and as far as games been playing lately, I've been playing my dad and trying to show him the game more. Um, been a bully and just playing. I played Mall Mother against him. I played the Mall Ahsoka All Mandos against him. And I probably shouldn't be playing these lists against you because these are literally your first two games of Shatterpoint. But I can't help it. I'm just a bully, and these lists are fun.
You're a bad
Because he
person.
played,
It's okay.
he played, he played Dooku Asajj, the first game, and then he was gonna give Grievous a go, like the Grievous Vader list, but then he played Dooku Asajj again and just swapped out some of the secondaries and prime and supports, and it went a lot better. But I keep telling him just play what you want. Like you're learning the game. Like there's no need to play Grievous Vader.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So, for the people in chat, if someone wants to guess before we get to it, because Dizzard and I just played our first game against each other in person, and if you want to guess,
Not even 2 hours ago.
it was more than 2 hours ago. We finished more than two
Okay, just
hours ago.
barely.
We were chatting for quite a while afterwards, but yes, the game wrapped up more than
lose
2
track of
hours
time.
ago. If you want to guess what was played, now is the time to do it. We'll waste a few more minutes of the show, but listeners, think about it in your head. Obviously, you'll pass the window to potentially get a reward, but if someone in chat wants to guess and can guess all 12 of the characters right and who played which ones, the tip is I volunteered and said I want to play some of this stuff because it's new and I haven't played it. Or no, new for me. It's not necessarily new, but it was just things I'd never actually put on the table. And Dizzard then was like, I'm going to play this. And I was like, all right, Dizzard wants to win.
Spoiler alert.
But all right, so while we're wasting a little bit, so you get a special shout out while we're recording if you can guess them right, and I'll even volunteer to buy you a beer at LVO if I'm going to see you in a month. But what did you think of my terrain setup, Dizzard? Since you actually got to play on my terrain.
Yeah. I would say I rather enjoyed it, and I guess you could tell people all the pieces that you used. You had a high ground set in there and core box stuff. Did you have
It
anything
was
extra, or is it just
no. So that table was basically a high ground, and then a bunch of extra stuff from core set and high ground. It was you
Gotcha.
could because it's the only real thing. It's got the high ground tower, right, and then it's just a bunch of the smaller pieces just combined in different. It doesn't have either of the two main buildings from the core set. It's mostly gantries and then weird configurations of the stuff they use for that smaller piece. I forget what they call it.
It's like a tower.
Yeah, whatever the thing is, it's not one of the two
Kinda.
buildings, but it's the other thing that comes in both the high ground and the core set.
The things you can't fit large bases on.
Yes,
Those
there's a
things.
lot of that. But some of them I combined. Like there's these two things, like I talked about in a prior episode, that's just like two of the kind of tops of those combined, and then I use ladders and like the gantry legs to kind of make a little extra piece out of it. So just kind of this square terrain piece. Um, but yeah, it seemed like you liked playing on it and kind of liked the style of how I just had all of the ladders connected, and then we were just like, where the fuck is the ladder in relation to this piece? All right, okay.
Well, for people's reference, the way the ladders are on these pieces of terrain is you'll have like on the first level to the second level, so ground level to first level. Oh my god, ground level to second level. You have one ladder on one side of the building, and then from second to third level, you have a ladder on the other side of the building. So you can't really just go from bottom all the way to top unless you're going to climb. And I really like that. Where I see a lot of boards will do from the ground to the top, and it's in a way that you could hop off on the middle level too if you wanted to. So it really eliminates all decisions that you have with ladders and ingress points, where this created a whole lot of really interesting situations where we were like, well, I'm going to go up, climb up, and then ingress down this ladder to get an extra
Yeah, we
range
did
one
that a
ability.
lot. We did that a whole bunch of times throughout the game where we would literally climb up and then ingress down as a movement to gain a little bit extra positioning. But I was really
Yeah.
glad that you liked it. Obviously, you were, probably the first person that I've played against in person that has played a majority of their games on TTS. And so I was really curious how you would like the terrain and whether or not you'd end up finding it interesting.
Well, I guess my curious point to you on that is for somebody who I guess has primarily played on TTS for Shatterpoint, um, was there any difference that you've seen compared to like your local scene, like play style wise, or like is it true? Would you say it's true by playing me in person that there is a difference of play from a TTS player to an in real life player?
No, I mean, I feel like my game against you felt like most of the games that I've played. You did bring up that one interesting rule that I didn't know about, where you can
Yeah.
go over Darth Maul's damage. Where if you deal him 6 and he has 5 health left, you can deal him 6 and potentially give him extra dice. And that was just a rule that I didn't know about. It didn't end up mattering because even though you let me dial the damage down 1, because I had a tree option that would have just done 1 instead of 2, so I could have still wounded him. Mother did so much damage to me afterwards that it didn't matter, like whether or not you had gotten that extra dice. But all right, well, we didn't get any correct guesses, so um, the funny thing was so Dizzard comes over and I was just like, hey, I haven't actually played Grievous or Kraken or the B2s yet. I've played against them, but I haven't played with them. And part of that was I was holding off. I'd played a bunch of games with Vader, and I kind of wanted a break from Vader. And I felt like Grievous's thing may not work. Like, I'm just not sure Grievous is a good enough character without Vader. And so I was like, well, we've been talking a lot about Vader. Why don't I put him on the table again? And so I played Vader, Rex, Magna Guard, because also I'd been talking about how I don't really like Magna Guard without double separatist leaders. And
Mhm.
so I felt like it would also be a good idea for me to like put that on the table and just see how I felt about it. Um, and then your response to that was your response was
Twist.
I'll play Mother Maul.
I mean, I came into this knowing I was playing Mother Maul, and I
Oh.
didn't care what you were playing.
Oh.
Like
See,
I
I
came,
didn't know
I
that.
came. Yeah, no, I had full intentions of playing Mother Maul, and if you dropped Mother Maul into me, then it would have been just a Mother Maul off, which is what apparently Accuser wanted.
Or at least thought we were going to do. I was trying to make it different. I thought um and well also I as I mentioned kind of in the chat, as much as like I'm not all in on the like nerf Vader train, I will at least say that um in the games that I've played locally, I have felt like the level of complaints that I got after a game were significantly different when I was playing Vader. And
Yeah.
people at the very least felt like it was doing something that was unintended or doing something that was too good or doing something that just kind of made the game less fun for the opponent. Whether that's true or not or that's totally perception, I have no idea, but that just is the case for my personal experience. So I
Um,
hadn't
I
played.
mean,
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to comment on that too because it's like outside of like very specific situations, I've never played against Vader and felt like Vader controlled this game. Vader was a mistake. I truly haven't felt that way except for very specific games. But most of the time, like this game, Vader didn't run the game. The game I played the other day with my dad, Vader didn't run the game. It typically was the other primary. Like Vader does actionable stuff, but he's not the one running the game. It's typically another synergy that's going on. Like for you, the droids and the separatist synergies were huge.
Yeah, it was really weird. And so I guess, since we're kind of like this is still Cantina and we're kind of joint talking about it.
Yeah.
Um I took struggle 1, you took struggle 2, I took struggle 3.
Yeah.
And so we just got a question. Why are you so effing hairy?
Good question.
Are we that hairy?
Which one's Harry? Is
I
it me
don't.
or is it you?
I don't know what we're talking
Are we
about.
both Harry? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, my beard's
Sasquatch?
not that long at the moment. I mean, is it a
Yeah,
joke about your baldness?
I'm trying.
Because we know
Maybe.
that
Oh,
you're
maybe it's
the
the fact that
only
we're both
baldness on
bald.
the show.
You've had your head off a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
But
know.
anyway,
I don't know.
it was interesting because you made, or well, so I made a pretty big error in struggle 2 that led to me not
Mhm.
being able to close it out, and then um you made a pretty big error in struggle 3, which kind of just
Yeah.
locked things in for me. So I guess I'm Corey Taylor. Who
I
I
guess
don't
you're
know
Corey
who
Taylor.
Corey Taylor is.
It's lead singer of Slipknot, but I don't really. Well, I don't see that, but other way,
Are you the lead singer of Slipknot then?
apparently, and I don't. The guy from Led Zeppelin? No, Corey Taylor is Slipknot.
Led Zeppelin? Oh.
Led Zeppelin. Second illness
Uh,
recently? I don't understand any of this.
I am only moderately confused. Um,
I Yeah.
so
Hmm.
the weird thing about our game was, and we're going to kind of get to this point, but there was this one spot that I set up the table, and there was this one spot that ended up being really advantageous for Dizzard, which was kind of how, like, there was one spot where Grievous and my B2s couldn't stand. And then we also realized if one of our characters stood in the middle, it would block out both. And so there was a point where you put Darth Maul, like he repositioned up there so that Grievous couldn't melee attack him because there was no spot for him to stand within range 2. And there was other times where we both used that spot throughout the game to kind of manipulate scoring. And that was really interesting and not something that I had predicted.
It worked out really well. Like you said, like Maul was there, and I was like, well, you got Grievous over here who can't get up here to hit me. And no way to really find someone to push me off because my back is against the beam. I think that beam is what made that spot really, really good. Is because you could contest and not be shoved off by anybody. And it was rather annoying trying to get anybody who was up there.
Yeah. It actually ended up where the first Grievous activation and the first Vader activation were both ranged attacks.
Yeah. But it's like I need to do something about the person sitting here, but I can't hit them. I want to hit them.
Yeah. Yeah, it ended up where I think I only used Vader's signature ability 3 times over the course of the game. And then one of those was irrelevant and one of them was a mistake.
Yeah, and I only used Mind Trick twice.
You used Mind Trick once, or no?
Twice.
Sorry, you used Mind Trick once.
So there's 2 situations that came up, and I probably should have done it on the first one, and I did it on the second situation, something like that, where it was.
Yeah, and it's hard because I actually think you probably shouldn't. I know you went back and you were like, so there was this opportunity for you to Mind Trick a 8 dice attack from the B2s. And you elected to not do it. It would have been losing 2 force really early. It was my first activation of struggle 1. And you elected to not do it. And I rolled a lot of crits.
Yeah, like it was like after everything, it was 6 successes or something like that. I was like,
it was 6
Christ.
damage.
Like,
it wasn't 6 successes, but yeah,
6. Yeah, 6. That's what it was. 6.
Yeah, I ended up dealing
like,
6 damage. My dice roll was like all crits and failures. I think there was no expertise and no normal hits. It was just crits and failures.
Well, this was also, you said, your first time using the B2s. Like, I haven't seen the B2s a whole lot, but I always hear people like Zion's Finest say the B2s are great. And I'm like, how? Because I remember playing them when they first came out and thinking these guys are trash. But like, I feel like they did a majority of the work for your supports. The Magna kind of runs off in a corner because they got luck of the draw. But
Yeah, I think
um,
how the game played out, like my Magna Guard didn't really do a whole lot. I mean, they still mattered. There was a point where I had reserved them, and then I waited until I'd activated Grievous, or it was Grievous or Kraken or someone, but I got them a little further up the table. I think it was Grievous, and then that allowed them to walk, like to hunker, and then walk and go up a ladder, and then like take a point from Boba, or sorry, from Django.
mhm.
Um, and that I mean, so they took a point, and then later on they moved because of Grievous, I think again, and they helped
Yeah.
me take another point. But they never made an attack. They only got attacked once. Magna Guard were not super impactful overall. Um, the big winners for me was the B2s did a lot of work. They were an early activation. I actually shatter pointed them with the first activation,
Mm-hmm.
if I recall. Um,
Yeah, because you
and
drew Shatterpoint like the very beginning of the game.
yeah, I drew Shatterpoint first card, and I thought I had a good play with them, and I liked it. They got fairly beaten up, and I activated them a second time pretty early on, and then they got wounded. They never actually activated again, but between Kraken and Grievous, they just did a lot of work kind of throughout the game. Um, and so, yeah, the B2s did a really good job. And then Rex came in super clutch for me. And we'll kind of talk about it when we get to the main topic, but he went from his deployment position to taking a objective on your side of the board to end struggle one. Um, and so yeah, and that was all he did the whole game. He never activated again. Um, but I mean, that was just something that basically no other character was really going to be able to do, except maybe Maul can do that. Could have done something very similar. Maybe not
Yeah.
100% guaranteed. Um, I will say that after the game, I think I may be underplaying Grievous's ability to play without Vader. I think its Appetite of Destruction is the one that lets the other character activate.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, Appetite.
Yeah, I think with that, the fact that he can't kill someone by himself may not actually be that big of a deal. Considering
Because he just brings someone else in to do it. Like,
yeah, because he
and
can.
the fact that the B2s just do damage on expertise, which that was so I'd block everything and you'd still punch through 2-3 damage, and I'm just like, what the heck is happening here?
Um, and so yeah, I do think that there's probably a list design where, and maybe that'll be one of the next things that I test is maybe I do test Grievous without Vader
Yeah.
and see how that all functions, because I also used Appetite of Destruction multiple times just for movement.
Yeah.
And I really did not.
It became a very big scenario control piece where you're like, well, I'm going to move this guy back over here. And then I'm like, well, I was supposed to get that point.
Yeah, well, when Grievous activates,
Oh.
right, and he moves a droid, and then he moves, and then moves a Magna, and then shoots somebody, right, and then then gets Appetite for Destruction and moves another droid. It
Yeah.
is just a lot of movement in general for him. So yeah, I would say my overall opinion of Grievous improved. Let's talk about our two mistakes real quick. And so mine is I probably had a point to go nearly back to back, like take struggle one, take struggle two. And there was a chance where I was going to score all 3 points and score 4 points and probably put it out of range for you to take back struggle two. And what ended up happening is Vader wounds Maul, Maul and Mother wound Vader, and I don't score.
Yes.
Um,
It's great.
I had so in my head I was thinking all about the Mother counterattack, right? I was like, I'm gonna save my movement so I can just walk back onto the point, and I had a bunch of plans for that. but I totally forgot about Maul's, even though we talked about it earlier in the game. The thing for me has been when I play Maul, I never get to use his counterattack. He's always pinned, or he's always like killed by a ranged attack. It's just, it seems like one of the two is always the case, or he just doesn't get attacked because people aren't willing to fuck with him and they're focusing on the supports or whatever. And so it has just
Yeah.
felt like I rarely ever get to use that attack.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot about it completely. And so the fact that he got to hit Vader, soften up Vader enough that Mother was able to finish him off, that really fucked with my whole ability to do to like take control of Struggle 2. Do you want to talk about what happened with you in Struggle 3?
Well, I think first, I think I have two big mistakes actually. The first one is when I thought I could contest a side objective and hit Grievous and trigger the manipulating hand. I should have pre-measured a little bit better because then I wouldn't have flipped sides. And then the fact that I had flip side to get the free manipulating hand screwed me over for like the next probably like 45 minutes of the game because every
No,
trigger Mother has,
see,
like I really wish I had.
I disagree with you because that free manipulating hand stopped Grievous because Grievous got
That's true.
He got the free movement off of his expertise, and if you had not manipulating handed him, he was going to take an objective from you and stop you from
That's
scoring.
true. That's true.
And
Yeah,
so
and then
that
I guess
that I don't think was
but
bad.
there was just so much though where I was just like, man, I really wish I was on the other side. And like, I normally always stay on Great Mother's side. It's very rarely I go to Wrath, but it's like I was getting low on force,
Yeah,
and I wanted it for free. But like the shoves on Great Mother's side are just so good, and there were so many times where I got the trigger. It's like, oh, I don't get any shoves. Like I can't stop you from taking this point. But actually, most of the time I ended up killing you anyways with the
yeah, that was the
attack
thing.
back.
Like
Now that I
after you
think
switched to
about it,
that, like her attacks were just killing people, so it didn't really
yeah,
matter that you couldn't shove me.
she definitely got wrathful.
Well, it's just you were attacking
Oh
stuff like
man,
Grievous, who just has like no defenses. He just dies.
yeah.
Um,
And then she just got my
I
tree.
will say, if before we get to the main mistake that you made, I think you
Yeah.
probably should have reserved Mother because you got Mother as your first activation,
Yeah.
and I think the right play would have been to reserve her and put anyone.
I mean, you're
else
not
up.
wrong. And I tell people all the time whenever I talk to them about Mother Maul, like you don't want Mother first. Or if you get Shatterpointing her first isn't bad because of the fact you're not having to reserve, and then you can go ahead and set it up. You play more cagey than I was. I played a little really aggressive with Mother, and I shouldn't have done that.
It was.
But
I didn't
I
feel like
like
you
this.
were aggressive with her. I just think you gained nothing by activating her first,
And
and you still had
and
to
I agree with
reserve at a
that.
certain point, and she would have been a much better second
Yeah.
activation.
And the fact is, if Mother's in reserve, like you're gonna play her when you need her the most. And then you be able to like basically manufacture. That's the best part about putting something in reserve is you're like, okay, now I need this card. I can agree with that. I think that might have been the very first mistake. It's actually going with Mother because then a lot of things wouldn't have happened. But the primary mistake is I got completely spaced out. Forgot that the Night Sisters literally just wounded.
Yes.
Literally like just
Grievous
wounded.
we had this whole conversation where it was like, do I kill Django or do I kill the Night Sisters? And I had to kill someone, and the odds of killing the Night Sisters were so much better.
Yeah. So he kills them, and then I go with Maul, and I'm like, if I go Maul and I do this, and I do this and this, then I can pull this guy off of here and do this whole chain reaction thing. And all I gotta do is get 3 successes for this to work. No, four. It was 4 successes. 4 because I needed the double shove. So go and start doing all this stuff, and I'm like, well, I guess I at least score 1. And Omnus is like, what are you talking about? Like, my sisters are wounded. I'm like, oh shit! Like I made this whole plan around these things being alive, and then completely spaced on the fact that they literally just got wounded.
Yeah, you had this crazy Maul activation where, like, in the perfect scenario, is the kind of activation that could win a game, right? But you ended up moving on to a point which had 2 people on it, and and you had 1 person on it, so now it was 2 and 2. So you would have to wound someone for it to change things, and you pulled someone else off of a point, but you had nobody else
And
contesting that point because
and I and I pulled them to the wrong position because I made them not in
Yeah.
range of where Maul was going to be, and I just loosey gooseyed Maul's placement instead of like actually measuring out a placement for him. I was like, it'll be fine here. If you think I would know this by now, just to actually measure where I want a person to be.
See,
And
when you were talking about it earlier in the activation, where you were like, you pulled them off, I thought you were gonna like stay on your janky side, right? And you were gonna reposition Maul onto the point.
Oh, I should have done that, absolutely.
Right. And then you switch to
But
rage and attack a
yeah,
Grievous. And I was
yeah.
like, what just happened?
Well, what's funny is if I had reached one more success, it would have gotten me the double shove, which would have gotten me the middle back, and then I would have gotten at least another turn to try to fight. But no, because of me being silly and switching sides and pulling a Magna Guard to a spot where I couldn't actually hit him where I needed to hit him, and all this combined stuff of me losing my mind, really just like, well, that's game. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah, it may just have been like you were just maybe like trying to go for too much jank in the moment.
I got greedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least it made me feel better because I thought my mistake, because really what I should have done, because I'd still Vader's Furied and I was saving my move action, I should just dash away from Darth Maul, throw the lightsaber at you, and then I only have to deal 5 damage, and I would deal 2 automatically. I wouldn't be able to use the leadership or the signature, which is fine. But if I had remembered that you had the counterattack, then I just Vader's Fury away from you, throw the thing, like blah blah blah, take some damage, and then probably push you off the point anyway. Like even if I don't get the wound, which is fine, but probably still wound you, and then Mother still shoots at me, but I would have a movement to move back onto the point. And so I felt real bad when I whiffed that. I basically like Vader just takes 13 damage during his own activation.
Yep. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah. I know you were definitely like, I miss making Maul back in this, baby.
I miss making Maul counterattacks. So Victoria got me a Star Wars Funko Pop calendar, and this is one of the things as a snowman Darth Maul.
That's adorable.
I love the same. He's got carrots on his horns. But I guess we can get into the main topic now, I think. What do you think?
So we have a Chamber of Judgment.
Yeah.
So because it came up multiple times in our game, we were talking about this one spot, right, where Grievous and the B1s could not stand, and only one character could stand on the point, and it ended up being super impactful. There wasn't an objective directly on it, but it did contest an objective that was one elevation higher. And that spot ended up mattering a ton throughout the game. It changed so many things. And we wanted to talk about that mechanic, like that terrain possibility, where it's one that's like spots to contest objectives where you can't get melee attacked because nobody else can stand there. And it really emphasizes the strength of characters like Jango and Maul, who can pull people off of the point, like pull you towards, because you also couldn't be pushed off of it because there was parts of the kind of beam that goes up to the next level.
Yeah.
What do you think about, like, obviously I feel like it helped you a little bit more than it helped me throughout the game. But do you think that's a good thing for a table to have? Do you think that's a good kind of mechanic to kind of exist in the game? Because it's very different, right, than a lot of our, like, say, MCP experience or even War Machine experience. Like, there's this really small section of the table that it almost makes it kind of weird for you to interact.
Yeah. I think it's important, but I also think it's important not to put too much of it.
Yeah.
Because if I have like 50% of my terrain, a whole group of models can't even stand on this thing, that feels really bad for that player. But like having like onesies and twosies here and there, I think it's great. I think it creates decision points, and a game like this isn't a game without decision points. That's what makes it fun. It makes you feel good about what you're doing. So I really enjoyed the piece of terrain that was there. Like I want to make one myself because I really liked how it was. And what is it? It's 3 of those little tower things, but there's one that's like bridging them. It's really cool. You have to put a picture up in the Discord for people to see, but
Yeah.
I really love that piece, and it creates a whole that piece itself created a lot of interesting interactions because not on elevation was more important than on elevation most of the time because on elevation it just I'll just shove you off and I'll take it anyways. But the not elevations, like you can't do anything about me here. And plus the B2s are body block on the top level, but they're wounded, so they're not doing anything. And I think that's why it became so important because the B2s were wounded up there for so long.
Well, thankfully, Grievous being able to like walk,
Mm-hmm.
shoot, he shot at Maul, even though he's like right next to Maul. He's like their bases
Yeah.
are basically touching, but Maul's one of elevation up. And so he shoots at Maul, and then because he shoots at him, then the B2s or like one of them gets to move and shoot. So I get like a little. I think I only did like 1 or 2 damage with the shot, but it allowed me to move the
Mm-hmm.
B2 to a slightly better position that allowed Grievous to then scale up and land on the piece of terrain to score me, so that I had someone at the actual level, which is just really interesting how much Grievous can reposition his own guys to like help him. Like until I was playing him, it never fully clicked for me just how much appetite for destruction can just be used for movement. Just the
Yeah.
fact that he can position his own droids to make it difficult for you to stand there, and then he activates and repositions them so that he can fit, even though his ass is bigger. Um it was interesting. I certainly liked the challenge of it. Um I do think it emphasizes why the 2 best characters in the game are the best characters in the game. And this is going to lead to my addressing the council. Wild Omnus. Uh,
Okay.
Darth Maul is the best character in Shatterpoint. Yes or no?
That's not fair because I've said that since day one. Like, I have said there will come a point where people start saying Maul is the best primary in the game. Um, and I still think that. I still think
Okay.
Maul is hands
That's
down the best primary in the
that's
game.
why I said it would be very weird if you said no. But I
Yeah,
really
you're
think
not wrong.
I don't think I agreed with that statement until the new struggle pack released.
Yeah,
And I think the new struggle pack really emphasizes that. I mean, I know we're not going to like get deep into like the Vader argument right now, but I legitimately think Darth Maul, like I almost feel like any team that's not running Darth Maul is just not as good as a team running Darth Maul.
yeah. I mean, he's got it's. I would say it's because you have people like you said like it's that statement, but Vader instead of Maul, and I 100% think the opposite. Where if you're not running Vader in a premier list, if you're playing competitive, you might be wrong right now in the current state of the game.
Maul is just it's kind of like I don't. Now I'm just not going to do it. I've been the guy who's like, let's not just like make references to MCP. And so even though I have one,
That's fair.
I'm just not gonna do it. And if you are an MCP player and you want to know what my reference was, just message me and I will tell you what it was. Um. Okay, so are we
I
ready
want
to
what it
go into the
was.
main topic?
Yeah, let's go ahead
Okay.
before I try to take this down farther than it already is.
Do you want to introduce the topic or do you want me to?
Well, I could do it. Basically, we wanted to talk about Sabotage Showdown because that's what we played, and talk about what we think of it,
I'm
thoughts on
telling
it, how
y'all, it's a
ominous,
sabotage. Beastie
how
Boys.
ominous thinks I'm wrong, that I think Mother Maul is good at it, and I think I might be agreeing more after this game.
Yeah, I
And I think
think.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's Vader Maul that wants that mission.
Yeah, I think
I still think I stand by.
if I'm gonna play Vader,
Yeah,
I think the best Vader list is Vader Maul,
hmm
and I think Vader Maul is very good at Sabotage Showdown.
yeah, I
And
completely
I
agree.
think Mother Maul would rather play on the OG one that has more
Yeah,
points. Yeah, and
I think it's easier for Mother to bounce between locations. For a while, I thought it was easier for her to bounce between that one, but I felt stuck in a lot of the game today where I haven't really felt that in the past. I just don't know if it's just a coincidence, but like this game
Well,
alone made me feel like Mother
I've
really
played a
doesn't do
little
that
bit
well.
of Mother, right? Like
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
tried to not give you easy Mother plays, but at the same time, you still had them. Like she's just really good.
Mhm. She makes something out of nothing almost every game, which is
Yeah,
why I love her.
yeah. She's very strong. So I
Hmm.
have some characters on the top of my head that I think are some of the best characters at Sabotage Showdown. But
Ooh,
before
ooh.
I go into them, what do you think? Like if you were going, okay, I want to design a strike team for
Mm-hmm.
Sabotage Showdown, who comes to your mind as like the key characters that you would want to play?
When I say two, because I know they're gonna steal
That's
them from
fine.
your list.
Yeah,
I think number one, Maul.
yeah.
Uh, he's got a range attack. He's got mobility. He can dance between the points so incredibly well. He could be off in the middle of that field in between struggles and then still be relevant, like his next activation. And that's why I love him here. Second one, because of this game alone, Rex. He does the exact same thing as Maul as far as the mobility is concerned, to where he went from deployment all the way across to one of my points that I wasn't expecting him to reach. And I forgot how mobile Rex can be. And it was really, really cool to see that. So I would say mobility and versatility in characters. So I think that's very much Rex, because Rex can be very good at range and he can be very good at melee. He's got really good shoves and he's got pretty decent defenses and he has a shit ton of mobility. Then same thing goes for Maul. We all know Maul, why I love him. But like characters like that excel at Sabotage Showdown, in my personal opinion, and I think you agree with me on that.
Yeah, those two characters were the first two on my list as well. Um, if
Yes.
if I if I was building and I was going to go, okay, I want to play Sabotage Showdown, I would absolutely start uh my team composition with Vader and Rex, or sorry, with Maul and
Mm-hmm.
Rex. It certainly could include Vader. Um, I was thinking about other characters. Um, and as much as we kind of talked about, like, say, Gar Saxon being potentially very good at it, he doesn't naturally get across.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to have 2 points, like to have two characters start on the objective. And so even if he pushes one off and then gets himself to the point, it's not enough to change scoring.
Yeah.
And so
Um,
he
but
doesn't.
Django.
Django Django is obviously a character who can like walk, focus, pull, jump. And so I do think Django is also very good in the situation that we're talking about. And so I do think there's a very real possibility of you going like Maul, Django, Rex as kind of your core. Um,
Hmm.
is there another character that could take the Django spot? I'm not sure. I haven't thought it through enough to be like, oh, I think this character is better than Django. Um, the character that I was thinking of, and like I still think Vader is good, and I think the fact that Vader does have a ranged attack does make him one of the better characters at the Crisis, and so I think he probably makes the top 5. But one of the things I was thinking about was because of how easy it is to go even in Sabotage Showdown compared to the original one, I really do think that Anakin may
Hmm.
be a hidden gem for Sabotage Showdown because he's one of the very few characters in the game who can score like actually move your token, not just move like lower the amount that you need to score, not just shift the momentum, but he can actually score you points by wounding characters. And he's really good at it.
Yeah.
Um And when you end up in a situation like in Struggle One, where they have to like you can like you might actually position him a little bit more directly across from the middle objective rather than rather than potentially put him right behind the one that's in front of your deployment. so that he's really like threatening that one spot. It's not something that I've had a chance to explore this concept in depth, but it's just something I
Hmm.
was thinking about. What do you think about that? Like, what do you think about Anakin potentially being a really good character for Sabotage Showdown?
I think I agree because I think I still stand by. I think Sabotage Showdown is more favored to like an aggressive team, and Anakin leans to a more aggressive team. Maul leads to a more aggressive team. Django can be both ways. Rex can be both ways. But these characters are all mobile. Anakin adds that score benefit to you. I like the pick for Anakin there, and I'd be hard pressed to really put anyone on this list that I'd be like, yeah, that character is like one I would want absolutely. Because right here, you already got what 3/4 of a strike team now. You just need your supports, and it's very much like I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, yeah, I mean, you could just go like, and I don't actually think that, like, I know we're just listing characters right now, but I do not think that it would be weird to be like, okay, we're gonna do Maul and Django, and then Anakin and Rex, and then pick your supports, right? And it probably fills out from there, right? You're like, okay, I will
Yeah,
do, I'll do ARFs, and then pick, and then pick a, do you want Mandos? Do you want Fifth Brother? Um, do you want the
bounty hunters because
acolytes?
they're badass.
Yeah, do you want bounty hunters? I think you have plenty of options for those other slots. And I think that's some territory that, us as MCP players were really used to this concept of building around what the scenario
Missions.
is going to
Yeah,
be. And that hasn't really existed in a huge way in Shatterpoint. And now there are two of them. And now we're going to start seeing that a little bit more as people are like, hey, I could build this team that's really good at Sabotage Showdown. Um,
yeah. But so then it comes to the question though of if I'm building a list, um, do I bring sabotage or shifting priorities? And then can my team play both of these? Because if I'm relying on Anakin, because I think he's really good at Sabotage Showdown, but we know that he's not that great at shifting priorities. Maybe I want to slot Vader in that other side because now I know that team can excel on both shifting priorities and Sabotage Showdown.
I mean, I don't really think it's a weird, it's not like we're breaking new ground to be like, hey
No, we're not.
guys,
No, no,
play
you heard
why
it
don't
here
you play
first.
Vader and Maul together with Django and
You
Rex?
you heard it here first. Make sure you let
Never
everybody
been
know
done
that Rogue Agent
before.
said it
Go
first.
win a TTS league with our advice because nobody is in. This is brand new.
Nobody's done
Nobody's
it.
stumbled onto this shit
Nobody's.
yet. This is secret,
No.
secret, scandalous scoundrel tech.
But I do think that like the coolest thing that I love about these missions is it's going to start opening up roster construction or squad construction, whatever you want to call it, a whole lot more. Because now I'm going to have to be thinking about, does my list just lose at Sabotage Showdown? Because you were talking the past couple of weeks where you didn't like Sabotage Showdown when you were playing Galactic Republic. You were like, this hurts, um,
Gonna be
and it felt
honest,
slow. Like
still don't like it.
so. So my question to you though is like with this game, did it feel slow like the games you were playing before, or did it feel
Well,
rather comparable to shifting priorities?
it wasn't as slow as the first game that I played on it.
Mm.
And a little bit of that is having a little bit more experience with it. And your mistake of not activating, not reserving Mother right away, I think helped shift things in my favor. But with all of that said, I still feel like it's less decision points than the what's the first one called? What's the
Shifting
shifting
priorities.
priorities? Yeah, I always forget it.
Yeah.
Shifting priorities I just find so extremely interesting. It just like it just makes the clockwork gears, right, turn for me where you're just like, okay, I just always feel like I have more options where
Hmm.
with Sabotage Showdown, I feel like you just have to have characters that are good in these situations. And the point that I want to make that's kind of counters the point that you were making earlier, where
Hmm.
I don't want to put words into your mouth, but roughly what I'm saying is is I think that the existence of Sabotage Showdown shrinks the competitive field. I think the need to play like Darth Maul and Django goes just so
Hmm.
like goes up. And so like
That's okay. Yeah, I see what
they're
you're saying.
already kind of the best characters, and Sabotage Showdown just emphasizes that more and separates the best from the rest um in a more significant way, where I feel like
Hmm.
less of the models that are released are feel good at um sabotage than shifting priorities. And so,
I could see. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
but I will say, I
I
mean,
think that's a good point.
Sabotage Showdown does feel closer in general. Like it feels harder to blow
Yeah.
out, but I feel like with its existence, as soon as people like were really planning and going, I need to play stuff for this, I think it just really emphasizes the like you're always playing Maul and Django. And I know that's probably not what people want to hear, but that's how I feel about it. This makes me go, I want to play Maul and Django in every strike team all the time, because if I have to play on this, I do not want to be trapped in characters who are not as good at Sabotage Showdown.
That's true.
I say that
Yeah, I could
having
agree with
just won
that.
a game on Sabotage Showdown, playing neither Maul or Django.
It's true. But to be fair, you I made a pretty fatal error.
Yeah, I got you
Like
super drunk before you were playing too, and so you weren't in your right mind.
yeah, I was so gone, and I let you win because I felt so bad because I haven't lost a game in a while.
Yeah, that was
I
really
had to
nice
I
of
had to
you to,
lose one.
just
I had to
cater to
humble
my
myself a
personal
little bit.
ego.
Just humble myself a little bit.
I will admit the whole time you like I told your wife, Victoria, I was like, I know I'm winning, but the whole time I'm playing this game, I wish I was playing his list.
Well, that's we talked about that too, and that was what I found interesting and why I love Mother Mall so much. Is there's so many decisions to make. There's so much fun to be had with that list, and there's so many cool things that you can do and pull off. Yet your list was like doing really good. It was dominating the board, but it was just like I go here, I do this thing. I go here, I do this thing. But like Mother and Maul, I'm like, and Maul's gonna go hippity hoppity over here, and you're like, yeah, and he goes chim chim jam, chim jam, and then it's like, and Grievous goes over here and shoots Maul. like the this they're just so much fun to play. Like,
Well, I will say that the droid interactions, where like how often they get to move other droids, does tick
yeah,
boxes for me, right?
that's true.
Let's not like blow past that. Like I don't like separatist droids as like an aesthetic concept. Um
Oh, that's not bad.
but the idea that I can have a character who activates and then potentially moves like three other characters during their activation, not the enemies, that's without attacking. I move like three other characters. Um
Yeah.
that definitely ticks boxes for me. And that's what makes me think that like maybe there's a thing where I need to explore non-Vader Grievous lists and see how I feel
Hmm.
about it, and see if my instinct, because like when I first kind of read his card and the first time he was played against me, he felt like a character who wants to murder stuff but isn't quite good enough at it.
Yeah.
And then Vader makes him just good enough at it that his whole shtick kind of starts working. Um, but it kind of in the same way that I whiffed on Maul in the early days when we were first talking about our thoughts of like the core set characters. I started off trying to play Maul in Dark Rage and just like pure murder, right? And it didn't work. And it's what led me to my incorrect thought process on him. And maybe that's also true for Grievous, where maybe you stay on his shooty side and you just push people and then activate other droids and move all of your and play him a little bit more like a general. And like I feel like I'm getting caught in the same trap where I feel like a character is designed for murder, and so I think about how they work in that role, and then I'm like, that's bad. And what it probably is they're probably designed as this interesting tech piece, and AMG is smart enough to be like, some people just want to roll dice. Let's give him a dice
Yeah.
roll side, right? And that's kind of what
Well,
Maul and Grievous both have. And to a certain
yeah.
extent, maybe you just don't do it that much.
Maybe you just do the fun side. I was just like thinking like throughout the game too. I was actually comparing Mother to not Mother, but Grievous to Mother in my head, but he's more proactive on his turn, where she's like
she does it
always
during
gonna
the
do
opponent's
something.
activation. He
Yeah,
does all
but
the
it's like
stuff during his.
yeah, but it's like if you think about it, he's the way you were playing him and the way it looked really good was as more of a control piece more so than a let me kill everything piece, and it worked really well for what you were doing. Like I mean, you won, but it also limited what I was able to do with Mother by playing Grievous that way. So I would say people who are saying like Mother Maul is stopping my Grievous plans and I really want to play Grievous, try doing the control stick and being on the gun side and doing the shoves and making your droids go everywhere and going back to that instead of the Vader Grievous like Amos is talking about. Like maybe that's what you need to do because that'll tone Mother back down too because she's less effective if your stuff isn't dying as much.
Well, also, so what's really interesting about it is that he gets 7 dice, range 5.
Yeah,
So he's
it's
up there
stupid.
with some of the best ranged attackers in the game.
Yeah.
He's got a push on 1 success and then a pin on number 2. And then he can jump on number 3. So it's just a lot of movement options. But then what's also really interesting is that if he rolls any expertise at all, he's getting a dash or a reposition.
Yeah,
So
that's huge. And that's so good.
So if you like push him off of something, you afterwards if you don't wound him, he just moves back on.
Yeah. It's
It's
it's good.
It's reverse Mother in some ways. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like what I find super interesting because I never really made that connection before, even playing him, because most people just like, I'm gonna kill stuff with Grievous. But I'm honestly more scared of this control side of Grievous. That I'd be afraid of this taking off and being more widely talked about and played than Vader Grievous kill everything. I think control Grievous is scarier because he's not the best defensively, but man, like he could be a pain in the ass to take down. I got lucky with a lot of my stuff to take him down.
I mean, his name is General Grievous for a reason. And
Yeah.
it is weird on a certain extent where you're like, well, maybe this version of Grievous where I just shoot people all the time, which feels not very Grievous on a certain extent.
No, not quite.
But he still ticks a lot of boxes, right? He gives you a free movement for somebody. And just the fact, like, it didn't occur to me until we were playing, and I didn't plan to play Grievous as this shooty control piece. You put me in that position. You were like, I am making it so you cannot attack my characters because they're all already wounded or they're standing in a spot where you can't melee them. You made me think this way. And I'm like, I guess I do shooty stuff with Grievous. And then it was like, oh my God, Appetite for Destruction fucking triggers off ranged attacks too. So it was just like, as long as he makes an attack against someone and there's a droid within range 3, he gets another movement.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as that started clicking for me, I was like, okay, maybe Grievous is a lot better than I was giving him credit for. I also think this is it comes back to what we were talking about with Galactic Republic in the prior episode, where I do, like, this is part of why Vader, Grievous, Maul all work. They, and Mother, they all are melee and ranged. Whereas Galactic Republic is pretty heavily trapped into mostly characters who only do melee. And you think about it, like, if I had been playing Galactic Republic primaries on that side, like, I would have been kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Because none of them could have pulled Maul off. None of them could have made range attacks. Like,
he would have just been up there scoring points and you couldn't do anything about it. Like,
well, it's obviously it would have been like a totally different game, but I as much as we are playing a melee focused game, I think people are currently underrating just how good it is to at least have ranged attacks as an option.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they have really fucking good triggers.
That's true. Which Grievous does.
Did you have any other
Oh.
Sabotage Showdown tips that you wanted to get in?
Um, no, mostly just gameplay tips. So make sure you're paying attention to where you're putting stuff because it could make or break your game at the very end. And making sure you realize stuff is alive or dead, and not just think that they're alive because they
Yeah.
haven't. Because my issue with it, because it was the Night Sisters, and most of the time they die super early in the game, and then they don't get touched ever again. So I'm used to them being alive and having to pay like a force for
Which was the
recording.
opposite in our game, where they activated very
Yeah,
late in Struggle 1, and
yeah.
then I didn't wound them until basically right before the game ended.
Yeah. So it's got in my head a little bit. It's like
Yeah.
I don't. This isn't the table I'm used to. But no, I think that's really it. Is play it, have fun with it, and Maul Vader. It might be the new thing because you heard it
new
here
thing.
first. The new thing. The new thing.
I mean,
Everyone, go say hi to Morgan Reed for us.
I do think that exploring Maul Anakin has a lot
Yeah.
of grounds. Could still be really good, and so I don't want it to be like, hey, everybody, play Vader. But yeah, I know there's
So
definitely going to be some comments of like, oh, Omnus just played Vader Grievous. But honestly, I've been holding off playing this. I figured if I can throw it at anyone, let me throw it at Dizzard, who has a lot of game experience, as opposed to my newbies in the game store or something.
Well, the again, and I feel like I was in a position to take it back, and then I made a real fatal error, and it really hurt.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it did take my fatal error to put you into that position.
But that's true.
But no
that
game
is
is
true.
played perfectly.
No. But I do think though, like I don't think Vader Grievous is. I'm honestly more scared to see like Maul across the table than Vader or Grievous, and I will stand by that. Like Maul just does so much on his turns.
So I have kind of a weird thought for you in this moment. Maybe this isn't addressing the council, but you in the game there was a turn where you did not Jedi mind trick with Obi. There was another turn where you did, and it cost you 2 force, and you were specifically out of force for kind of potentially important activations.
Yeah.
My potential hot take / addressing the council is, what if you were playing the exact same list, but you just switched Obi for Rex? I know you're playing nothing else Galactic Republic.
I was gonna say Gar because I used to run Gar in that slot, and I really loved it. And I like Gar more than Bo when there's not that many Mandos up, to be completely honest, because he's just a good solo piece. But Rex is good too because he does essentially the same thing, and he's more self-sufficient. Gar still wants Mandos to trigger off of where Rex doesn't.
I think if you wanted to run Gar, which I don't think is a bad idea, I think you do Gar in the Super Commandos, and I think you drop the Acolytes.
I would agree. I think if I was to, I think I do like the idea of Maul, Gar, and Soups, and then Anakin, Rex, and or Jango for Rex. Either or, don't really matter. I like Jango a lot.
Who all of a sudden I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, you're running the bounty hunters with. I still like Jango bounty hunters with Mother. So maybe that's your 3. So you would have one more thing to build out.
Yeah.
Right, where you do.
That's new Vader box, Vader 2 box. That's what I'm doing.
Then you just add.
Actually, you can't do that because Anakin. Damn it.
Oh yeah. You can't do that with Anakin. Yeah, I don't know what your other one would be.
I'd probably just go Ahsoka because she's fun. I like Ahsoka.
Yeah, so. Ahsoka and Bo-Katan and Clan Kryze.
Because that'll still pair really, really well with the Maul set. Like that's
yeah.
I played it the other day and I was like, man, I miss playing Maul, Ahsoka, all Mandos. This list is so much fun. And I felt bad because I was playing against my dad. It's the second game of Shatterpoint ever. And I'm just like jumping all over the board and just pew pew. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have played this list into you. This is a really, really good list. And I love playing this list. So there's no bars held right now.
Honestly, I want to look at Ahsoka real
uh,
quick before we're closing out this episode. You keep talking for a second.
okay.
The people who are watching can see that I'm. I
Okay.
want to look at Ahsoka's
Try to.
card. I'm just contemplating how she, like her stuff works on Sabotage Showdown because she is fast.
Her issue is gonna be when people pin her, and pin's so big still.
Yeah,
Like
and she doesn't have a range
that's gonna be the
attack.
thing. No.
Yeah, she just doesn't do. She doesn't do quite as much.
I,
You kind of would have to reserve her, and but with once Fierce Protector triggers, so you have to just be willing to
yeah.
reserve her, and then I think her shtick starts working.
Yeah, because then she's still gonna be bouncing around at points and be good, and then she's also good on not Sabbath, but shifting priorities still.
Yeah,
And like we all know, Ahsoka, Maul, all Mandos is solid. So
yeah, I dig it. I mean, she could work with Vader too. She's got a tree where you can go push, double replenish, push.
push.
Yeah. Interesting. Just a thought. I would love to get her on the
Yeah,
table
I don't hate
again.
that.
Um,
I wanna play a premiere event. I really do. I haven't played one yet.
maybe we organize something, get a couple other local players or something, even if we do like a little like 3 round robin thing on like a Saturday.
Yeah.
Do a premiere test and
I've heard it's got to be 4 rounds. I've heard if you do premiere with 3 rounds, it sucks. It doesn't feel as good.
well, I mean, I think
We could try it.
3 rounds can still force you to play everything, which can at least like get
Mm,
get some of that testing underway to figure out, how
yeah,
would you adjust other things before there's
that's
an
fair.
actual premiere event. It might teach you the kind of key things.
True. Yeah, I don't hate that. So.
All right. Well, are we hitting wrap up mode? Are we?
I think we are. I think we can say the most Star Wars thing that you could do is play some Sabotage Showdown. Say that you were the first ones to say Maul and Vader is a thing, and throw it down everybody's throat.
Facts.
Yeah. Thanks.
Later, nerds. All right. Recording has ended. Stream is still live, but I'm not sure we have anybody.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think anybody showed up tonight. It's
Except
holiday
for that
season.
one crazy dude that Midnight had to like pretty boy.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck happened there. That was
Caulfield. That was so
awesome.
weird.
That was yeah, I was like, what is happening here? Apparently I'm Corey Taylor and you're a bowling ball. Like I'm like, what?
Well, and then he was confused because clearly you had to be bowling ball because I have a hat on, and if they're not used to the show, they wouldn't even know
That's
that
what
I'm
I
bald.
thought.
Clearly, they just had a.
That's what I thought.
I don't know. It was so confusing.
And maybe it's
These
that.
weird random people showing up on Twitch.
But thankfully we had Midnight in the chat to save us
Yeah,
and
that
do
was.
the thing.
I feel bad that I feel bad to even have referenced the comments. Like I didn't realize how bad it was until we started talking to it.
I didn't think it would be a troll until it was like the fourth or fifth message. And I was like, oh god.
They were, yeah, it was starting to seem like a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
But
That's
But, but he was making Led Zeppelin references, but at the same time he
the
misspelled
weird. Yeah,
it.
true.
So
Wed Zeppelin.
Wed Zeppelin. Yeah, definitely trollish. But well, Dizzard, it was fun to do this, man. I'm glad we got in a game.
It was a good time.
Yes. Yeah, I still would rather have been playing your list, but it taught me that's the thing. Every game kind of teaches us interesting things, and this definitely gave me more respect for Grievous.
Same, because most of the time I've seen Grievous, he just like goes in there and kills stuff. Nobody really plays him this. Let me just shoot people and be controlly, and that was a lot harder to deal with because I'm sitting there and I'm expecting my stuff to start dying, whether to get triggers like crazy, and me to be hopping around all over the place and just like clapping back and controlling the points. But you weren't killing my stuff like that. You only wounded like 3 things, and so I was like, it's like I can't do the shenanigans I was hoping to do, and that I'm used to doing. And I wasn't able to pivot where you were, which was super interesting because normally with Maul you can pivot, but I didn't Shatterpoint Maul. I didn't use him as much as I probably should have.
I did make good
Uh,
use of the Shatterpoint for bonus movement. I felt
yeah,
like I did use that a little bit better than you did, where
yeah,
I chose to activate a character that specifically would have a better activation because they were getting the bonus dash.
yeah.
But yeah, I think overall, I think Obi-Wan just kind of drained your force too much.
And he didn't do a whole lot. I don't know. I'm kind
He
of
hit me
starting to be
really
down on
hard,
him,
and I was
which is
playing the
funny.
kind of murder team, right, where you would think that Obi-Wan is really good. Um, but I almost think
I mean,
he held you
he
back
ended up
more
being
than
dead
any.
weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
No,
he
he
held
ended
you
up being dead
back.
weight.
I will say I mean, I have not played the bounty hunters at all myself. I'm not planning on
Yeah.
buying that box, but you confirmed for me 100% that like the bounty hunters are the best part of that box. Like they,
I will agree.
yeah,
Like
your
they are
bounty
so
hunters
good.
did work.
And like there was one opportunity for me to payday, and I probably like after I didn't do it, I was like, I probably should have payday to move them onto the point because I would have scored me 2 that turn. And I was like, I don't want to pay 2 force to payday because they were wounded, or they had been wounded. They were on the injured side. But I hindsight, I actually think I do payday them and move them with mother instead of moving like the night sister or whatever it was that I moved. Um,
Yeah, I don't remember the specific activation, but you were the
yeah,
problem was you were just force tight. There's a lot all your decisions
yeah.
that you're looking back on are always force decisions, and the problem was is that as soon as you spend 2 force for that, that's other decisions that
You
you're
know,
not getting because
I think
you were
my my
running out of force.
my fatal error is I haven't played Obi in that list in a while, and back when I did, I always ran fourth brother. So I had fourth brother and Django and Ball
You mean
helping
fifth
my
brother?
force out. Fifth brother, yeah.
How does fifth
Fifth
brother
brother.
help your force?
Um, no, sorry, God, wow, not fifth
I don't
brother.
even know who
Who
you're
was I
talking
thinking
about.
of? I don't either. Um, yeah, I don't remember who I was referencing. I don't know. Somebody that helped with force, but no, I had Django. I really don't know what the hell I'm thinking about right now. So that's
But I do
horny
think
now.
Rex is just like how many characters can move 3 times an attack for 1 force?
Not many.
Very, very, very few. Like,
I think it's just Rex actually.
yeah, I can't.
Mace can he? No, Mace can't.
No.
No, he gets the dash, then his advance, but he
Yeah.
doesn't have another move.
There's some characters you can trigger the third off of their attack, right?
Yeah,
Like Maul
like Maul.
can, um,
Yeah,
Grievous can, but like Django can, but fucking Rex can just move 3 times and then attack.
yeah.
That's really
No,
nuts.
Rex. I also just like I love Rex. I've grown another like appreciation for Rex, just like in the game state, and maybe we should move on to the bonus episode because we haven't done one in a while. And
Sure.
if you're down to do one real
Yeah.
quick, we can do
Yeah,
like a 20
we
minute
can do
one.
some shit. All right, let's end the Twitch chat that nobody's watching right now. We love you, even though you're not here. I miss you, especially you. Yes, you, the one who's thinking if I'm talking to you. Yeah, I miss you.
It's you.
Yeah, it's you, Dizzard.